Jet fans, week 1 is in the books. The Jets fall to the Carolina Panthers 14-19. Looks like we have some things to work on. Let's go around and give out our grades for our offense, defense, and special teams and see where we can get better. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets! Welcome in. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Monday, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I will be live for my live call-in show. I have special guest Michael Nania of Jets X Factor tuning in with us to help us break down week 1. And I want to hear from you guys, get all your thoughts on what you thought of this weekend's game. And then Tuesday night, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we have our Talkin' Jets panel with myself, O'Leary, and Greenbean. So make sure you tune into that to ask us all your Jet-related questions. And hopefully we could digest this a little bit better, hopefully come away with a little bit more positives than the initial reactions are kind of happening right now. So without further ado, let's jump into today's video. I'm grading our week 1 performance against the Carolina Panthers. The Jets obviously fall 14-19 to the Carolina Panthers. This was the Sam Darnold revenge game, and it was not pretty. It was not where you wanted the Jets to be by any stretch of the imagination. Sam Darnold does play well. He winds up running in for a touchdown and then having a nice long touchdown, 57-yarder to Robbie Anderson. So a little bit of a gut punch from that perspective. You really would have liked to have seen those guys maybe not perform as well as they kind of did. But let's go around. Let's look at some of these grades and some of the different rankings from defense, special teams, offense, and each position group in between. So first off, score was 14-19. Really was not as close as the final score indicated because Matt Rule opted not to kick 2 field goals. They also missed an extra point as well, so there were 7 points left off the board from that. So really not a great look for the New York Jets to start against a team that I really don't consider to be a top contending team in the Carolina Panthers. Now, they were very crafty. 2 of their linebackers did change their numbers the day of the game to try and throw off Zach Wilson because he's watching tape all week long trying to figure out where these mics are going to be, where you're going to see pressure coming from, and then to have guys change their numbers, you're maybe not thinking exactly the way you want to be thinking with respect to the, hey, number 54, oh man, I saw what he did on tape. Obviously, you're not going to see that if he's number 7, number 8, whatever numbers they wound up picking for their linebacking numbers. So, a little bit of trickery there from the coaching staff of the Carolina Panthers. Let's go into our grades. Special teams, we're going to start there. I'm giving this an A. I'm sorry, I know Braden Mann got knocked out because our own guy blocked a player into him. Lost him for the game. Hopefully he's not gone long term, but Amendola stepped in and actually played really well. He didn't have the opportunity to kick any field goals. We did go for 2 two-point conversions, so no extra points on the docket for Amendola, but he stepped in for punting purposes and actually had some coffin corner punts. I don't know what his average wound up being, but it was actually really impressive to watch him just step in out of the blue. Braden Mann got 1 punt off, and then we had a penalty, and they obviously brought it back, throwing Amendola into the mix. So for special teams, they're getting an A today because of Amendola. It's really Amendola's getting the A. Everyone else, so-so. On the defensive side of things, the defensive line, I'm going to give this unit a D for today. Now, the only reason they didn't get an F is because they did step up in the second half and sort of contained the Panthers the way they needed to contain them throughout the entirety of the game. We saw 0 pass rush all game. Obviously, not having Carl Lawson or Vinny Curry is going to affect the Jets' pass rush, but basically from Sheldon Rankins to Quinnen Williams to Shaq Lawson, all the guys that we were hoping would have more of an impact really didn't. John Franklin Myers, I would say, looked the best of the bunch from our group today. Offensive line-wise, the Panthers aren't a stud offensive line aside from their right tackle. Their right tackle is a Pro Bowl player, an elite player in this league, but we should have been able to dominate the interior A-gaps of this team. Quinnen Williams should have feasted. Sheldon Rankins should have played better. We should have gotten pressure on Sam Darnold, and because of how this team fared against the running game and the passing game from the running backs, really affected the defensive line, and we weren't able to get the pressure that we really needed to. So very disappointed with this unit overall. The linebackers, I'm going to give an F purely because of the player that really went off on us, and that was Christian McCaffrey. That was the player we needed to keep an eye on all week long, and we just could not contain him. Now, I would say this. I think Mosley played better. I think his first action in his first game back in 2 years was pretty good. He seemed fast. He had a nice little pass defense at one point in the game. So I wasn't disappointed with him. And we also lost Sherwood to an injury. So we're kind of playing with our second, third, fourth string kind of guys out there. So, maybe a little grain of salt in that respect. But Christian McCaffrey rushed 21 times for 98 yards, had 4.7 yards per carry, 9 receptions, 89 yards, 9.9 yards per reception. Really not a good look for the Jets linebackers, the Jets defensive line. They share the blame with Christian McCaffrey going off there. Secondary-wise, I'm going to give this unit a C. And that's maybe a C+, something like that. By and large, I thought the secondary played way better than I thought they were going to play. And that's not to say they were world beaters at all, because there was plenty of issues to go into. Redwin just got beat like a drum by Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson had 1 catch, 57 yards, touchdown. And Redwin got caught flat-footed because LaMarcus Joyner went out with an injury. So when you have your third-string safety out there, you're going to have that kind of black mark, just not prepared to face the kind of speed that Robbie Anderson had. But overall, the secondary played reasonably well. I can't give them the brunt of the issues that we saw on the defensive side, because most of that yardage came from Christian McCaffrey. Now, DJ Moore did give us a problem. He was, had 6 receptions for 80 yards. Yeah, 80 yards. Absolutely, stacked receiver room for the Carolina Panthers between Moore, Anderson, and Marshall. I think they have some really, really good weapons. So by and large, I really thought the secondary was going to be where we got roasted, and in the end, it really didn't turn out that way. So pleasantly surprised with what we got out of our young cornerbacks, considering the lack of pass rush we saw from the defensive unit. Now we go to the offense. And we're going to start with the area of the team that I feel really, really let us down today, and I would say was the biggest factor in us losing this game, and that was the offensive line. They get an easy F. This was a very, very bad unit today. Obviously, Mekhi Becton going down with the injury in, I think it was the third quarter. It does seem like we kind of dodged a bullet there. It doesn't seem like it's a tear of any kind. They're saying it's an MCL sprain. He's going to have an MRI on that knee to see if that's really what it is, and hopefully he'll be back in the lineup before too long. Now, obviously, before that, wasn't playing that great, was not having a real good day. He did have a tough task going against this Carolina front four. They are one of the better teams in that department across the league. So I don't want you to think this was a bad job going against a bad Carolina team, because that's really not the case. But the right side of this line, I thought they were going to get Wilson killed, and I have no idea why George Fant was starting at the right side of this line. I thought Morgan Moses played well throughout the preseason. Clearly, Fant must have showed something in training camp that looked better than what we thought as fans. And then, obviously, with Becton going down, Fant kicks to the left side, Morgan Moses comes in on the right side, and it actually seemed like the Jets played a little bit better at that point. Obviously, you hope Becton comes back. You want to see Fant maybe in some jumbo packages with Morgan Moses starting. Maybe they let Fant start because he was the incumbent from last year. Either way, the right side of that line, Van Roten, you're not getting the pass either. Really didn't look that good. I thought it was very, very lackluster for the amount of resources and money that we've pumped into this. This was Elijah Vera Tucker's first game with us. He didn't play in the preseason at all. So obviously this unit has some growth to kind of go through. And I do think they will get better as the season goes on. I think this team will need to gel together, and usually offensive lines take some time to kind of gel together. And giving up 6 sacks and just getting Zach Wilson damn near killed. Wilson ran for his life. There should have been way more than 6 sacks. We could have had close to 10 sacks today. That's how bad this offensive line was. And it was ugly. And Wilson really, really took some bad shots because of it. Running game-wise, the offensive line, so we had 17 rushes for 45 yards. So 2.6 yards a carry. Totally ruined my big, bold predictions of 5 yards per carry. Really went high on this Jets offensive line, and it really didn't come to fruition. That's going to shift us to the running backs, and the grade I want to give to them. I'm going to give them a D, and the only reason they don't get an F is because the offensive line really affected the running backs. So maybe you could even give the running backs a slightly higher grade, but the running game really didn't look that good either. Like I said, 17 total rushes for 45 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. Really not great. Our blitz pickup, too, atrocious. There was a few times that Ty Johnson was running and just completely whiffed on a free rusher that just had Zach Wilson, backpedaling, getting whacked, would take the wrong gap when stepping up into pass protection. So I would like to see better pass protection from our running backs. I do want to see more push from our offensive line. I would say they get a D instead of an F because of that offensive line. Wide receiver-wise, I'm giving this group a B. I thought they did relatively well, especially Corey Davis. Finishes the day 5 receptions, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's clearly Zach Wilson's favorite target. He's the most reliable receiver we've had, and it feels like we have a true number one wide receiver for the first time since maybe like Brandon Marshall or Braylon Edwards. Like, legitimately excited to see what we get out of Corey Davis the rest of this year. Braxton Berrios comes in, has 5 receptions for 51 yards. Obviously a safety blanket for Zach Wilson. I would have liked to have seen Elijah Moore fill that kind of role and kind of be excited with our new rookie, but he really kind of underwhelmed in his debut as well. Denzel Mims didn't see the field until the very end of the game. Had 1 target and got 44 yards on that target. Why on earth is Denzel Mims not starting? When Keelan Cole is out for injury, I would like to see Corey Davis on one side, Mims on the other side, and then if you want to have Moore or Berrios in those slot positions, that's where they should be. Obviously, Crowder with the COVID stuff didn't play today. The target percentage and where we kind of went, that route, Michael Nania said it best. Denzel Mims, 40 yards on 1 target versus Braxton Berrios. Not Braxton Berrios. Griffin, Johnson, Carter, Smith, and Moore had 44 yards on 16 targets. So obviously there's a disconnect with where we are going with the ball, and I'd like to see some more chunk plays. Obviously with the offensive line not playing that well, that's going to limit your ability to have plays develop down the field. But when the pass rush is teeing off on you like that, that's when I feel like you have to utilize the screen game. I don't know why we didn't use wide receivers or running back screens. We have fast running backs. That's what the Shanahan system, this LaFleur system is all about, and not getting that type of, sort of counterpunch to the pass rush was pretty irritating. But overall, wide receiver-wise, I was happy with what we got out of our tight ends and our receivers for today. Which brings us to quarterback. Zach Wilson, first game, debut. If you'd like to see all his passes for the game, I'll link that video up here. You can see every pass that he made. I did throw in the ones where there were penalties, and you'll see some of the sacks that were in there because those were pass attempts, even though he went down. But finishes the day 20 completions, 37 incompletions, 54% completion percentage, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did have about, I have to look exactly, but I think it's like 5 drops from receivers. So receivers really didn't help him out. Receivers could have graded a little bit higher if we didn't see all those drops. And he was sacked 6 times, which means Zach Wilson dropped back to pass 43 times when you factor in the incompletions and the pass attempts plus the sacks there. So if you had told me that Zach Wilson was going to drop back 46 times, I would have told you the Jets are not winning this game, hands down. The Jets needed to run the ball to set up play action, to allow some routes to develop and open up down the field, and that was where the success was going to happen. Now, what were my feelings on Zach Wilson overall? Obviously, you don't want to see the interception that we got. I would have liked to have had that back. He did almost have another interception, like coming back on like the next play when we got the ball back. Not the best there. And then he did get hit from the right side and fumbled the ball. He did land on it, so really no damage done there. But by and large, I liked what I got out of Zach Wilson. I gave him a B+ for today. I think with all the pressure he had in his face, he really could have crumbled, and he stood in there. He took shots. He was elusive. He was accurate for the most part, considering the circumstances. This was fine for a rookie debut for me. I did not come away from this game feeling upset with Zach Wilson. It was really, for me, the offensive line that really let this team down today. And then I guess if we want to talk about the touchdown passes, man, he had 2 beautiful passes to Corey Davis where he had, really had to escape some pressure and just really excited with the chemistry they're building there. Zach Wilson, really excited for that. Wide receiving core, specifically Corey Davis, really excited for what's going on there. Now, we got to talk a little bit about the coaching staff and what I thought about Coach Salah's first game. I liked it. There was a few times I wish they didn't call timeouts, but obviously I think we had a 3rd and 2 that we called a timeout on early in the third quarter. That was clearly the right move because we got the first down on the very next play. See how the other team's defense comes out, wants to, counter what they're seeing on the offensive side of the ball. So I think at least getting that first visual before a very important play at that point in the game was at least a wise timeout. Obviously, you want to see them hold those timeouts to the end to try and fight back, but being at where we were at that point in the game, I was fine with that. We didn't see any challenges, so we didn't really get to judge that so much. Second half adjustments. Man, I will say this. I thought for sure after seeing the first half of this game, this team was going to roll over and die in the second half, and that was not the case. Salah and this coaching staff and this team fought hard in the second half. I thought they played much better defensively. I thought they played much better offensively, and I think I would like to see more of this moving forward. This is the stuff that we didn't get under Adam Gase. We would see the scripted plays at the beginning and then 0 halftime adjustments. So the team fighting the way they fought and the adjustments we made post halftime, I think was really impressive from our coaching staff. Now, from a LaFleur side of things, I would like to see more hurry-up offense. It felt like Zach really thrived in that fast-paced offense, and he could kind of get the defense on their toes a little bit, or on their heels a little bit. That's where I would like to go with this, especially if you could incorporate some screen passes to try and limit the volatility that was coming with that pass rush. So guys, those are my grades overall from our team for week 1. Let me know what you guys think down below in the description. How would you grade each unit from week 1? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, go Jets.